The Dallas Cowboys had an extended weekend, and now they've begun preparation for the Washington football team in a very important divisional matchup. But for head coach Mike McCarthy, he's prepping virtually, still on the COVID list, eyeing a return for Thursday. How do you feel like the Cowboys have been handling all of the craziness going on with the coaching staff?
Yeah, extended weekend, that sounds like a hotel sales pitch. Extended stay.
Right.
And it has been kind of a relaxing thing for the Cowboys over the course of a couple of days.
Yeah.
Even for Mike McCarthy, even as he relaxes, probably in this hotel.
Yeah.
And still is quarantined because of his COVID.
Right.
I think the Cowboys coaching staff and the organization is not getting near enough credit for what they went and did in New Orleans. That is a highly unusual circumstance.
For sure.
The head coach is involved in Zoom meetings leading up. You're on the road in a tough place to play, and we're getting caught up in criticisms for things they did wrong. I think the coaching staff did a tremendous amount of things right, and that includes Mike McCarthy and obviously includes Dan Quinn as well.
Right. It seemed like the Cowboys rallied around Dan Quinn, kind of like you predicted, by the way.
We did kind of predict that, and he is that guy. And then Dak Prescott is that guy, and Tank Lawrence playing in that game was that guy. And now there's going to be more reason to rally around as this team gets ready for Washington because Randy Gregory is expected to come back this week. And we should put Neville Gallimore, or Sir Neville Gallimore as we like to call him, in the same conversation. Although Gallimore is a run-stopping defensive tackle and he's going to help. But Randy Gregory joins Diggs on this defense, joins Tank on this defense, and joins Micah as real difference makers, guys that are going to jump off the TV screen at America on Sunday. At least that's what the Cowboys hope.
That is what the Cowboys hope. Washington has been running the ball pretty darn well, so how do you feel like this Cowboys defense is prepared for Washington?
Yeah, and that's where Gallimore can really help because the Cowboys have sometimes been victimized against the run. It's worth noting that Antonio Gibson, who is carrying a tremendous load for Washington, especially now with McKissick dealing with his neck injury, Antonio Gibson has a shin, and there's a fracture in his shin.
Ouch.
And it's been that way all year long, and yet he's playing through it. And that's a Washington team that they're not getting by on spectacular offensive talent because they've missed guys over the course of the year. In fact, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was going to be the starting quarterback, gets hurt with his hip in week 1, has surgery now this week, done for the year, of course, and then at age 38.
Done.
Yeah.
Right.
So they rely on the folk hero. Right. And Taylor Heineke keeps doing what I think is, I think this is fair. This is Tony Romo-esque, some of the things that he's doing there. And I'm not trying to compare necessarily their talent exactly, but kind of the come from nowhere and a guy that talk about rally around.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of going, what a neat story.
Yeah.
Let's follow this. I was going to say kid, but I think Taylor Heineke now is 28. Has been doing this long enough now that he'd been doing it long enough that he almost gave up on football and decided, I think I'll go back to college about a year and a half ago. But the Cowboys' ability to control Antonio Gibson can be a big part of this game because the threats that Washington has slinging the ball around are not outstanding.
Absolutely. So the Cowboys do have a 2-game lead over the Washington football team in the NFC East Division, but Washington's on this 4-game winning streak that they don't really plan on slowing down anytime soon. What's your concern level for the Cowboys?
It does speak, I think, to the worrywart nature of some in Cowboys Nation.
Yeah, for sure. Which are like,
it seems
kind
like
of
Washington's in, I guess.
Yeah.
Washington's in. Now, Washington is in control of its own destiny.
Right.
If Washington beats the Cowboys twice, and then obviously outplays the Cowboys in the other games, Washington wins the division, which is astounding. But even though one team is hotter, the other team is better. And that's not really up for debate, especially with Washington being down. The guys we mentioned earlier on offense, but then also obviously no Montez Sweat, and then especially no Chase Young. Yet their defense has played very well in the last couple weeks. But ask yourself this question, just mathematically. Wouldn't you rather be the team with a 2-game lead? And so in this case, the Cowboys certainly plan on and hope that being better is better than being hotter.
Right. Okay, so I'll put you on the spot. Your concern level from 1 to 10 for the Cowboys.
I don't have a great. I don't have a great worrisome concern level. I see some of the critics saying, well, the offense didn't play very well in New Orleans, but you're ignoring then the fact that the defense did play very well.
Right.
That the defense comes up with 4 interceptions. This team leads the NFL in interceptions with 19. They get the pick 6. obviously out of Watkins, the defensive lineman, the fat guy, touchdown. Cowboy fans have been for years, again, in Tony Romo era and more, Dak Prescott era too, saying, if only our defense was as good as our offense. Well, now it is.
Right.
Maybe a little bit in part because the offense has sunk to some degree. But this is a defense, as we've said many times. Is it a great defense? No. Is it a defense that has great individual performers and difference makers?
Yeah.
That much is true.
Yeah, it's definitely improved from last season. So the Dallas Cowboys travel to the nation's capital. What do you think is the number one thing Cowboys must do in order to walk out of there with a victory?
Well, and I know this because I'm going to Washington. We'll be traveling with the Cowboys this week for Cowboys SI and for the Fish Report as well. The weather.
Yeah.
And there's talk now about a 70% chance of rain, and that's already it's a rickety new field, rickety new stadium. It feels like they just built it, and yet it's rickety.
Yeah.
Which tells you something about the way Washington is run, frankly. But that's another story. But it could be messy and it could be mucky, and so the team that controls the ball and then the takeaway margin issue, that probably is your winner. And again, Dallas is awfully good when it comes to the takeaway margin. So it's a reason to believe the odds makers who think that Dallas deserves to be favored by 4.5 here.
Wow, are we seeing just the NFL get hit with all these crazy weather things lately?
Yeah.
It's been crazy.
Yeah, that Monday nighter between the Patriots and Buffalo was fun in a weird way.
Right.
Bill Belichick had particular fun. I don't know that I've seen such Grinch-like enthusiasm out of Belichick outside of a Super Bowl, but he reinvented football for one night where we're not gonna ever throw the ball, and we're still gonna beat you. I do think it's interesting as you're trying to see who's who in the playoffs. Yes, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in the NFC present a great challenge for Dallas, and it's a large part because of Tom Brady's talent and presence. But Brady's gone from New England, and it took Belichick 1 year to fix things. And now, as we speak now, the best team in the AFC is once again the Patriots.
It's amazing to watch. Okay, so you are here at Dallas Cowboys headquarters more than anyone. What are you hearing as far as whispers?
Jerry Jones goes on 105.3 The Fan this week, and he's talking about, and we've got this story up at cowboyssi.com written by Richie Witt, and he talks about Dak's inaccuracy, and the question initiates about Dak's health. Is Dak 100% healthy? And the answer is yes. And the answer is yes, by the way.
Like everybody, breathe.
Yeah, relative to being a football player in week 14, he's fine. He's as healthy as the next guy. But Jerry, who has this unusual knack for taking your issue and your question and turning it into his issue and his answer, decides to make this about Daccuracy, as we like to call it. And he says, well, he's 100%, but if you're looking for why we have some of those errant passes, it's because some guys are running the wrong routes. What?
Whoa.
So then you ask yourself, so is Jerry calling out CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper and company? Is he trying to put a protective shield over his fave, Dak? Or is it something else? Is he trying to put a spotlight on those guys in a positive way? Well, having translated Jerry for 32 years, I have a very educated guess what it was.
On the Jerryism, give us the breakdown.
Yes, okay, so they have a Monday meeting here at the Star, Monday staff meeting, and the Joneses sit in, and it's coaches and scouts, and they discuss the previous week's work, and they go through everything. I promise you, somebody on the coaching staff said, we need to run better routes. And Jerry took that information, which was an accurate piece of information, put it through the Jerry filter, and by the time it came out the other end, it becomes this other thing. The fact is, in that game in New Orleans, there's one play where CeeDee Lamb turned like this when he should have turned like this. One play. And I would be willing to bet $1. I wouldn't bet $8 billion on it, but I'd bet $1 that that's the play that the guy in the Monday meeting talked about, that Jerry put in his head, that came out his mouth, that is turned into a headline.
So you're not seeing a route running issue here in Dallas?
First of all, Amari Cooper is as good as there is in the NFL at running routes. There's no evidence based on that New Orleans game that Michael Gallup has any problem controlling his mind or his body. What he did with the toe tap repeatedly was astounding, and CeeDee Lamb in his second year is awfully good at what he does and awfully advanced at what he does. So, no, I would say that route running in general, if you're going to list the Cowboys' 100 biggest problems, it wouldn't even be on the list. But it was in Jerry's mind one day, so out it comes.
Love it.